Whether new shooter, longtime gun owner, or even police officer or soldier, your handgun needs a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Crimson Trace.
I'm a gun owner.
Your views, advice, and questions are the driving force of Gun Talk.
I don't think that guns are scary things.
Visit us online at www.guntalk.com. Call Tom now at 866-TALK-GUN, 866-825-5486. Let us know what you think about the gun-related issues of the day. Now, back to Gun Talk.
Some parts of this gig are more fun than others. They're all fun, but some even more so. And one of the things that I truly enjoy doing is talking with our next guest. A good friend, an old friend. We've done a lot of fun stuff together through the years, and probably some things that have helped some people out, I hope. Massad Ayoob is a firearms trainer extraordinaire, author of, 10 or 12 books, and he is the guy I listen to when we're talking about self-defense and specifically about the legal issues of using a firearms for self-defense. And Mas has a new book out, Deadly Force, Understanding Your Right to Self-Defense. Mas, how you doing, man?
It's good to hear from you, Tom. I'm doing great, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your listeners.
Thank you. Same to you. We actually helped kick off the very first TV show about self-defense with guns, PDTV, Personal Defense TV. We've done a lot of things through the years, but as I say, you have always been my go-to guy when I say, what do I need to know about the legal side of things? And that's because you combine being a competitive shooter, a trainer, a police officer, and a legal expert who has sat through dozens and dozens of courtroom cases to hear what actually happens to people who have used a gun in self-defense in a shooting when they get into that situation. The thing I love about this book, and I just got to ask you about it, this is kind of the, if I will, dispelling the myths book as much as anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Over the years, we've heard so many pieces of bad advice. Shoot the burglar on the doorstep and drag a kitchen knife in his, put a kitchen knife in his hand and drag him inside. And of course, that will send you to prison 12 ways from Sunday. We hear people tell you if you shoot the mugger in the alley, look both ways for witnesses and leave. And they don't realize, first, the prisons are full of people who looked both ways for witnesses and didn't see them until they appeared to testify against them at trial. But second, the whole element of flight equals guilt is literally older than the Bible. You find it in Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee where no man pursueth, but the righteous man stands his ground as bold as a lion. In the U.S. Supreme Court doctrine in Chicago versus Wardlow, we find the statement that flight can be seen as, if not as indicative of guilt, certainly suggestive of it. And the person who flees the scene is like the person who skidded on black ice, was in a car accident, and accidentally hit somebody, but panics and flees. What had been a blameless accident or something in which they held no culpability instantly turns them in a hit and run, and they've got a very uphill fight.
What about the one that says, make sure there's only one story to be told at the end?
Well, what I tell my students is if you're prepared to stand over some guy that you shot, and he's dropped his knife, and he's crying for an ambulance and begging for his mother and saying, please don't shoot me. If you can stand over him and put another bullet in his head, get up and get out of my classroom, because if you can do that, you're not one of us anymore, you're one of them.
Excellent. You have a chapter in your book. By the way, the book is Deadly Force, Understanding Your Right to Self-Defense. After all, and you wrote the very first book that many of us consider to be still a national treasure, which is In the Gravest Extreme. Why the need for another book?
I see the new book, Deadly Force, as not a replacement for In the Gravest Extreme, but an amplification of it. I would suggest, frankly, to folks that they buy both. Gravest Extreme is still in print from Police Bookshelf and available from Amazon. That was written, or actually came out in 1980. Now, deadly force law itself, as opposed to gun possession and carry law, is one of the most mature and homogenized bodies of law there is in the United States. What we have seen over the last several years, really the last 3.5 decades, is a change in legal strategy by plaintiffs and by the rare prosecutor who is, politically motivated instead of justice motivated.
Mm-hmm.
This book warns them of some of the different tricks that might be pulled on them if you have an anti-gun prosecutor who, quote, wants to make an example of these people who go around carrying guns, end quote.
Right.
Or a money-hungry plaintiff's lawyer that turns your shooting of a violent attacker into you being the trigger-happy vigilante who went out hunting for human prey. And we figure forewarned is forearmed. We show them where those attacks evolved from and how to defeat that kind of unmeritorious allegation.
You have an entire chapter, 20 points in this chapter, on the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin case from the beginning to the end with all of these. This is what you can learn from everything that happened here. I think it's brilliant to take this story right out of the news that people, I was going to say that people know about, but I would correct it to say that people have heard about, but they don't really know about it, do they?
Well, it's fresh in their minds. The people who were in trial work and the people who were in teaching CCW followed it live last June and July of 2013. Now, a great many people didn't, but the fact is all of that live trial action is available on YouTube and other archives. And anyone who doubts that sort of false spinning of innocence into guilt occurs doesn't have to take my word for it, Tom. They can read the news reports of the testimony day by day. They can go to YouTube and watch it play out. It was your classic example of a politically motivated prosecution. There was some fascinating tricks played on both sides. And the defense, I thought, did an exemplary job of using truth to defeat falsehood and ultimately get what I believe was the just verdict, the complete acquittal of George Zimmerman.
For a great percentage, actually, of the American public, what they took away from that was a man with a gun killed an unarmed youngster. How would you, if you had to give it the ongoing title, characterize that case, knowing what you know? How do you characterize or how would you label that case?
Well, I would label it as something else entirely. The man they called the self-appointed vigilante neighborhood watch commander was in fact elected by his community to lead the community watch. While he was not on active community watch duty that night, he was simply driving to the grocery store to get some food. He saw a man acting suspiciously, a tall man in a hoodie, looking through windows during a driving rainstorm when you'd think if somebody had to be out, they'd be moving quickly instead of sauntering through other people's yards and looking in their windows. Classic suspicious behavior. He did exactly what the community watch is supposed to do. You don't go in and interfere yourself. You call the police. You are told you are the eyes and ears of the police. He calls in. The dispatcher asks, where did he go, and also asks for specific directions. It literally is a dark and stormy night. Some street names have recently been changed. And it's a community where all the structures look very much alike. So he gets out of the car to do a couple of things, to verify the address, to vector in the police, and to see where the guy has gone. He's asked, when the dispatcher hears the car door open, he's asked, are you following him? And he answers yes. The dispatcher says, you don't have to do that. Now, let's stop right here. Everybody said he violated the dispatcher's lawful command not to follow him. The dispatcher never told him not to follow him. He simply said, you don't have to do that. Where we saw the big thing, after he is attacked by Trayvon Martin, he is knocked down, his head is being banged against the sidewalk, and that was very conclusively proven by the hard evidence. Mm-hmm. Zimmerman said he spotted the gun. and threatened to kill him and reached for Zimmerman's gun. So what we have there is deadly force twice over. The man who has you down in a position you can't escape and is beating your head against a hard object is exactly the same as if he had you down and was pounding your head with a 20-pound chunk of concrete. It's now an armed man and a deadly force situation. The man who's reaching for your gun with clearly expressed homicidal intent is not an unarmed man. He's a man reaching for a gun. So Zimmerman literally twice over was facing deadly force that night. And in 3 weeks of cross-examining the state's witnesses and another week of presenting their own, I thought Don West and Mark O'Mara on the defense team did a brilliant job of explaining that to the triers of the facts and to any Americans who weren't so full of Kool-Aid that they could listen to what was actually happening and being presented.
Amazing stuff. Hey, Miles, hold on a second here. We'll take a quick break. We want to continue with this. Massad Ayoob is the author of a new book, which I just got to tell you, I don't care if you carry a gun or if you have a gun for self-defense in your car or in your home, you need this book. It's not that you should have it. I'm telling you, you need this book. It's called Deadly Force, Understanding Your Right to Self-Defense. In just a minute, we'll be right back with Massad Ayoob right here on Gun Talk.
The Ruger LC9S, a striker-fired version of the award-winning Ruger LC9 pistol, has a short, light, crisp trigger pull for faster, more accurate shooting. It's just slightly larger than the incredibly compact LCP and provides personal protection in a slim, lightweight, concealable handgun. It also fits all existing LC9 accessories, including lasers, holsters, and extended 9-round magazine. The Ruger LC9S, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
Every day, law enforcement agencies worldwide put their trust in the HST bullet from Federal Premium Ammunition. Built to protect our streets and defend our freedoms, HST, in its iconic mushroom, provide reliable and consistent performance. That same technology is now available for your personal defense needs when protecting your home and defending your family. Personal Defense HST. Proven, trusted performance. Federal Premium Ammunition. Every shot counts.
Hi, I'm Tom Gresham. For more than 40 years, I've been watching an environmental disaster in my backyard, and it actually impacts all sportsmen in America. I'm talking about the massive loss of land on the Louisiana coastline. The U.S. Geological Survey said the swamps and marshes of coastal Louisiana are among the nation's most fragile and valuable wetlands. That land is disappearing. The Mississippi River Delta hosts as many as 10 million ducks and geese every winter. These are birds which migrate northward through the states, all the way to Canada. The wetlands of the Delta support some of America's best fresh and saltwater fishing. And here's the deal. The wetlands of the Mississippi River Delta are disappearing at a rate of 1 football field every hour. 1 football field every hour. Gone. We can reconnect the river with its wetlands and restore the Delta, but we need your help. Please visit vanishingparadise.org. That's vanishingparadise.org. If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Dury's Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Dury's Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Dury's Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Dury's Guns. DurysGuns.com.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit SigSauer.com today.
Back with you here, Tom Gresham. We're talking with Massad Ayoob. He's the author of this brand new book, Deadly Force. Excellent book. Massad, where is the book available?
That is available now on Amazon or from FW Media, the Gun Digest people, and should be available anytime now in Barnes & Noble. I believe they also have an electronic edition.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they do. They have a Kindle edition. They sure do, off Amazon. So I'm just looking at that so you can pull that down there. You had it's not a chapter, but it's a part of the book that I wanted you to at least talk about because it touches, everybody wants to talk about hardware. And self-defense, defending because there really are two fights. I guess we ought to establish that. There's the initial fight, and then there's the fight to retain your freedom, right?
Yes, Colonel Cooper many years ago, Jeff Cooper, said it's stage one was winning the fight on the street, stage two was winning it in court.
Okay, you mention at least three things. You say, look, there are fights we can win in court and fights we simply should not have. And that being, why make it more difficult than it needs to be when you get to the courtroom fight? And you talk about some hardware things, choice of guns, modifications to guns. If you would, touch on those.
Yeah, well, one thing anybody with a gun has to remember, we live in a society where for generations now, the entertainment media and the news media have demonized guns and gun owners. You can expect them in an adverse relationship, whether criminal or civil, to do the pet reflects the personality of the owner thing. If you're being prosecuted in a dog bite case, the prosecutor would not ignore the fact that your dog was a pit bull instead of a miniature poodle. If there's something they can attach to your gun that indicates recklessness or negligence, those are the key ingredients in a manslaughter conviction, and those are the key ingredients in a civil lawsuit if they expect to prevail against you.
Okay. Trigger jobs. Let's start with trigger jobs.
Yeah. The single biggest problem I've seen is the guy who has what a layperson would call a hair trigger. And in court, the way that would be defined, there's no legal bright line that says this many pounds is good and that many pounds is bad. It's like the adjustment on any other machine. The safe adjustment is going to be determined by one or both of two things: the manufacturer specification and the common custom and practice of using that device, in this case, as a self-defense weapon as opposed to, say, a target pistol. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a pistol that comes from the factory with a 5.5-pound trigger pull, and the factory tells its armorer's school, never adjust this below 5.5 pounds total pull weight on a duty gun, that is a service pistol or a self-defense pistol, and you've decided, I know more than the manufacturer, I'll put, a 3.5-pound pull. You can expect yourself to be wide open for that negligence element, which could sustain a manslaughter charge and could very definitely sustain an adverse verdict against you in a civil lawsuit.
The takeaway is why do that to yourself? Why set yourself up for that problem?
Well, I see folks that have got the super light triggers on their guns. They want to put a Punisher skull on the back plate of their Glock or the grips of their 1911. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, look, here's the deal. None of you, when you go home tonight, are going to leave your front door not just unlocked, but open and ajar with a light on so anybody walking by can see you're vulnerable. None of you tonight are going to put a ladder up to your bedroom window and leave the window open. None of you are going to take your best shotgun, load it with a round in the chamber, safety off, and put it right inside that open front door. So if the burglar doesn't have a cool gun of his own, he'll have this one, and now you get to have a much more exciting gunfight. This is exactly the level of weapon you're giving opposing counsel in an adverse legal action when you do the hair trigger, when you deactivate the safety device or remove the safety device from a pistol. It's just not a smart thing to do. Do not eat the yellow snow. Do not give your potential enemies potential weapons.
Hand-loaded ammo.
The hand-loaded ammo, I've seen two problems come up with, and we documented a couple of cases in the book. One is it allows the other side to argue that regular bullets weren't deadly enough to satisfy your bloodlust. But the one I really worry about is the forensic replicability factor. a whole lot of armed citizen self-defense situations are close enough that gunpowder residue on the body or the clothing of the opponent can determine the distance you were apart. And very, very often, the other side will attempt to say, no, he wasn't that close, you weren't in danger. So being able to show the distance is going to can literally make or break your case.
But you need standard ammo for that.
Exactly. The rules of evidence require some third-party verification that the test item is identical to that which was used in the case.
Mm-hmm.
The common custom and practice since the 1920s has been if you shot somebody with factory ammunition, they simply get another batch of that lot of factory ammunition, test it, and both sides accept it. Nobody has ever been able to find a case where they've done that with handloads for the simple reason that the other side can argue the defendant manufactured the evidence. Your Honor, you can't allow this in. Now, in the two big cases of this year and last year, that has been a huge issue. One of the make-or-break things in the Zimmerman case that we discussed was the gunshot residue on the outer garment of Trayvon Martin was exactly consistent with Zimmerman's description of being down on his back and firing upward into the man who was straddling him, beating him, and trying to disarm him.
Hey, Massad, I am going to run out of time here, as we always do. I guess, as we say, and if you want to know more, you need to buy the book, because this is the kind of stuff we get into. I mean, and I understand that people are going, wow, these guys go deep into it. You better, because you prepare for the first fight, and you better prepare yourself for the second fight, and that's what you've done in this. It's a wonderful book. You've done such a good job with this.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it, and happy Thanksgiving again to you and your listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you. And like I say, we can, and we actually have at times, Boss and I have talked about this for a lot longer than this. I got to tell you, you want to give yourself a gift or a loved one a gift, a friend, a neighbor, a son, a daughter who carries, give them this book, Deadly Force, Understanding Your Right to Self-Defense by Massad Ayoob. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.
One of Talker Magazine's 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. You're listening to Gun Talk, heard every week at this time on great radio stations across America. Stay tuned. Gun Talk is coming right back. Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, the modern sporting rifle, MSR, AR-15, most popular rifle being sold in America today and over the last number of years. Lots of people bought them. A lot of people bought them in the last several years and took them out to the range, shot them a few times, and they're going, no, now what? Now what do I do with this thing? Well, there's a lot of things you can do with it. And to help us out with that, we invited a guy who actually knows what the heck he's talking about here. Paul Levy is category manager at Brownells. That's AR15builder.com, Brownells.com. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hi, Tom. Doing well.
Listen, this list that you sent us, I swear I want to publish this. This is like the perfect article on accessorizing or customizing or fixing up your AR. There are just a ton of things you can do to an AR. I mean, it's kind of like an erector set or something that you can just customize.
Oh, yeah, you can overthink it very easily.
Well, that's half the fun, isn't it?
Yep, sometimes.
All right, let me start off. First of all, I guess we ought to say everything we talk about here, Brownells is kind of like the go-to place for all this. It's all available there. You also have the website AR15builder.com, which is a very cool site on basically how to build an AR with all these different parts. So anything we talk about here, if we mention like a sling, it's not like you have a sling. You may have, like, who knows, dozens of slings available. So
sure, there are dozens to choose from on Brownells.com. There's especially all the parts you talk about, easy choices there.
Okay, so somebody just got an AR. One of the things I find is people go out to the range and they don't have a sling. I am of the opinion that all rifles should have a sling simply because it's kind of like a handgun needs a holster. Otherwise, where are you going to put the darn thing when you want to let go of it?
Exactly. Every rifle should have a sling, whether you're hunting with it, you're patrolling, whatever you want to do with it, you should have a sling. whether that's a 2-point, 3-point. There's a bunch of different options out there. And most ARs now come with easy attachment methods, so you don't have to overthink, well, how am I going to hook this up? Most come with a QD socket already installed on the stock and on the handguard. So really all you need to do is figure out what type of attachment you already have, and then go out, find the sling on Brownells.com, and throw it on.
And, I mean, there's even single-point slings, of which I am not a fan. It seems like if I let go of a rifle and it has a single-point sling and I do any walking, it's going to hit me right in the crotch, which is not a fun thing. So,
No, I definitely prefer the 2-point. That allows you really the most versatility. And you can also be quite accurate with this sling, too. If you use it properly, braced right, you can really use your rifle well.
Yep. And then, as you said, not expensive at all and really easy to put on. Okay, how about, I'm looking at your list now, and I'm just running down here. Mm-hmm. White light. Explain what we talk about when we say white light.
That's really a traditional flashlight, but white light, when we're talking about weapon lights, is really one that attaches to your rifle. It's not IR or something like that, but really just provides white light, and a lot of it to light up your target. So really, with a rifle or a pistol, you want to make sure you know what you're shooting at. So a rifle without really a white light and is really kind of useless at night or in home defense especially. A lot of light attachments out there, weapon lights that are designed for pistols, go great on an AR-15 because they attach that Picatinny rail that's so prevalent. And really, they're pretty much universal now.
You might just mention, for people who might not know, about we have the Picatinny rail, and then we've got a newer rail system. Was it MOE? What is the...
There's actually two out there. There's the Keymod and the M-Lock from Magpul. Yep.
That's right. The Key-Lock is what they got.
Yep. And a lot of handguards now have that, and that allows for really a streamlined mounting option and for the flashlight or other accessories to attach directly to the rail interface, with keeping your rifle light and making the mount really secure. Really, they avoid screws and doubling up on mounting, so it mounts directly to the rifle and really slims it down, makes a light rifle, just simplifies things.
If somebody is thinking, yeah, I'd like to do this, but I don't think I can actually handle this, you guys have like cool videos on your website on how to do all this, how to mount things and how to customize.
Oh, yeah. On our website, or if you go to our YouTube channel, anything you can think of if you're thinking about, well, do I want a light on my weapon? Do I want a sling? We have tutorials on everything. Even the more in-depth stuff, if it gets to, say, installing a trigger, we go through all that to help you out.
I guess part and parcel of all of this is, the thing that's so cool about a modern sporting rifle, the MSRs, is that they are so versatile. You can use them for competition, you can use them for home defense, personal defense, you can use them for hunting. First of all, you got to figure out what you're going to do with this gun, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that goes back to when you purchase it, and then you got to think through, well, what am I actually going to use this for? I need to get out to the range and actually shoot it a bit. Am I comfortable with it? Do I like the trigger? Before you go off and buy a bunch of accessories, actually think about what that concept is, what you're using this rifle for. And then you can kind of come up with a game plan on, well, what do I want to attach to it? Is it really worthwhile? Do I really need to invest this much in with what I'm doing with it?
Exactly, because, I mean, you got to figure out, what are we doing? Tell you what, hold on a second here, Paul. We're going to come back. We'll talk triggers. We'll talk about stock. We'll talk about some of these other things. Basically, what we're doing is talking about, you have an AR. Now, what do I do with it? There are so many cool things you can do. And we haven't even talked about the idea that, you may not know this, you can change calibers. You can shoot different rifle calibers in your AR and it's so simple, it's unbelievable. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
One machine, one operator. Each machine is run by a single pair of hands. Hands that spend all day, every day, learning the machine inside and out. We don't believe in quotas. The point is crafting faultless ammunition, no matter how long that takes. It's not quick or easy. Being the best never is. Black Hills Ammunition. It started with our hands.
You may be a new shooter, a longtime gun owner, or even a police officer or soldier. No personal defense handgun is fully equipped without a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge. Crimson Trace.
TopGunSupply.com carries a large selection of fine firearms and accessories. Get all the parts you need for your Sig Sauer, HK, and Glock pistols. Grips, screws, recoil springs, sights, barrels, magazines, holsters. The list goes on. Our knowledgeable sales staff, professional service, great prices, and super fast shipping are here to help you. Check us out today. TopGunSupply.com. TopGunSupply.com.
Looking for shooting instruction but don't know where to go? Well, we have it, and you can access hours of training and safety videos, which you can watch on your home computer. On GunTalkTV.com, we have top competitive shooters, the best in self-defense trainers, and folks who have hunted all over the world, helping you learn which gun to buy, how to use it, how to store it safely, and everything else you need to be a safe and competent shooter. We also have gun makers showing off their newest rifles, shotguns, and handguns. Doesn't matter if you're a veteran shooter or a complete beginner. You'll find what you need at GunTalkTV.com. You can check it out for free, and you can get full access for only $5.95 a month. That gives you unlimited access to hundreds of videos, and we're adding more all the time. Run the videos over and over to make sure you understand what's being said. Skip around. You're in control. Get smarter. Shoot better. Visit GunTalkTV.com.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could use your AR magazines in a bolt-action rifle? Now you can with Mossberg's MVP rifles. The patent-pending design is a first for bolt-action rifles. Choose from 5.56 and 223 to 204 Ruger, 300 AAC Blackout, and 308 Varmint, Predator, Patrol, and MVP Flex System models. Adjustable trigger too. AR mags in a bolt rifle. The Mossberg MVP. See more at mossberg.com.
We're talking about modern sporting rifles, MSRs, the AR-15 platform. Talking with Paul Levy. He's category manager at Brownells, brownells.com, if you don't know. And Paul, we were talking about one of the things we haven't mentioned. It's so obvious to a lot of us, but we forget to mention is when you have an AR, it's actually incredibly easy to change the caliber, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, very easy. And with a lot of calibers now, especially like 5.56 or 300 Blackout, it's as simple as swapping your barrel. A lot of the other components are exactly the same. So it's really a pretty straightforward process.
So you could shoot a 300 Blackout, 6.8. There's some other things you can do. So you basically just use your same rifle, swap out the barrel or swap out an upper, and you're good to go. Clearly, you can put suppressors on them, which is a whole nother world, which is tons of fun. We might mention triggers. What's involved in swapping out a trigger on an AR?
And that's a bit more in-depth, although ARs are pretty simple as far as firearms go. You're probably going to want a lower receiver block to hold your lower in place. And then you're going to need simply a punch and then a screwdriver, really to drive out the pins that hold the hammer and trigger, and then potentially take off your grip to be able to remove the safety. But it's really pretty straightforward, especially if you're just putting in a drop-in trigger, like, say, a Timney or some of those other ones out there, a CMC. Just do your research, look up some of our videos or some of the other ones out there. It's a pretty straightforward process to familiarize yourself with.
And you don't have to go to a light trigger to get a seriously improved trigger, right?
No, I usually prefer even one around 5 pounds, especially for a multi-purpose rifle. You don't have to go crazy light unless, say, you're doing varmint hunting or competition. I usually like that heavier trigger. And like a Geisley is nice and crisp. That's one I usually recommend. You can buy Timneys around that 4-pound range, which are solid. They're nice and crisp. They're not overly heavy. I wouldn't call 4 or 5 pounds heavy, but they're nice, clean triggers.
Exactly. And as we know, a good trigger makes all the difference in the world when you're shooting rifles. Because of their military ancestry, sometimes ARs come with triggers that are, not so great.
Exactly. Yeah, they can be very gritty, long, heavy, and not every shooter is going to be used to that when they jump into an MSR or AR-15.
Right. Okay, stocks. There are a whole family of stocks, from collapsible to different lengths to fixed to all that. Why do you choose one versus the other?
Really, it's going to be after you shoot that rifle the first time, you handle it for a bit. Do you like the cheek weld? Is it comfortable in your shoulder when you go to shoot the rifle? That may be something you want to swap out. And also, is it too heavy? Is it too light? There's many different things. You may want some additional storage, which a lot of aftermarket stocks offer. And really, a lot of aftermarket stocks are quite a bit more durable than the factory M4 carbine stock that you see on so many rifles.
Well, as handy as the whole collapsible multi-position stock is and looks like, I don't like the feel of them when I shoot them. When I put my cheek down on them, I don't have anything where to put my cheek.
Yeah, and that's a big issue with a lot of people. So a lot of people may want to go with a fixed stock, and there's a lot of good options out there, especially from Magpul. They've got some great ones. Their standard MOE fixed stock. That's a great solid stock. It runs about $60 or so. And then their PRS, which is really what I consider the pinnacle of adjustable fixed stocks. You can adjust the cheek, length of pole. It's really a fantastic stock. So really, if you want to go that route, there's tons of great options, but Magpul's really nailed it down on those.
So what I'm hearing, and we haven't even touched on optics, because, of course, you could put anything from red dots to, like a Trigicon, the Dr. Optic type, if you will, the RMRs, the bigger red dots, the reflex sights. You could put scopes on them, and you could actually put more than one optic on at a time, can't you?
Oh, yeah. You could have, say, a 20-power scope on there and have something canted off to the side, so your close-range optic. There's so many different options there, and that really comes down to going to the main point of what do you want to do with that rifle. Is it a long-range rifle? Is it multi-purpose? And really the great thing with the MSR, it's so easy to mount them, especially since most have the rail on top. It's so easy to mount. There's so many options out there. You can check out our site for all the variety. But you can get into a good optic at about $200. And really, I think $500 is the sweet spot where you can find some really good optics, great quality. You'll be hard-pressed to beat, or your needs may not require more expensive optics.
Right, exactly. Now, let me ask you about the one thing that people take for granted that they probably shouldn't. It's not a lot of money, but they can really screw up. Let's talk magazines.
Oh, sure. That's a common problem you see with MSRs, or really any magazine-fed rifle, is if you have a damaged magazine or say a cheaper magazine and you ran into issues, it's probably that magazine. And right now, quality magazines are so cheap, so inexpensive, I should say. You might as well buy some to alleviate any problems you may run into with the magazines. There's, of course, the Brownells magazines, but there's tons of manufacturers from Magpul out there and some others putting out great magazines. You might as well stock up on a few and have some quality magazines on hand.
Stocking stuffers. Magazines are always good choices. Go ahead and get yourself a 10-pack and be good to go, right?
Oh, yeah. Maybe 2 10-packs.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're like the rest of us, I don't know how many magazines I have for ARs, but I know it's in 3 digits. I'll tell you that.
I'm probably in the same boat.
All righty. Well, listen, Paul, I appreciate lots of good information here. For more, I know that you've got it all at Brownells.com and also that very cool website, AR15builder.com. Very, very neat stuff you guys are doing there.
No, thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. You take care. Have yourself a great holiday. Paul Levy from Brownells. By the way, if you don't know Brownells, wow, are you in for some fun times? It's BROWNELLS. You can spend so much time there. You can also spend so much money there, but you can buy stuff inexpensively as well, magazines and such. Cleaning products, I mean, it's just crazy. Whatever you need. What's that old line says? If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. As simple as that. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, we got some callers lined up. We can get you in. They're going to be talking about, women shooting and forming their own league, or if you will, a league of their own.
Gun Talk stands for safety, personal responsibility, and common courtesy. To be a part of the show, call 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Gun Talk will be right back.
All All right, just a minute or two. I'm going to, when we come back here, I'll be talking about the anti-gunners are targeting your Christmas dinner. No, correction, not your Christmas dinner, your Thanksgiving dinner. Every Town for Gun Safety has put out a detailed email on how to lobby the people at your Thanksgiving dinner table about gun control and gun bans. And it's very detailed, and they talk about, they say it's a myth that having a gun at home makes women safer from domestic violence. More about that in just a few minutes. First of all, line one, Bill's with us out of Texarkana, Texas. Hey, Bill, thank you for your patience. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's this about? You're shooting ghosts?
Well, it's ghost targets is what it is. And what we do, or what the ghost target is we found this out by accident. We work with a lot of kids and even kids up to 65 years old. But when they shoot a paper target, they get a little bit of a thrill. But when you shoot something that actually goes pop, if you can remember when we were kids, we used to shoot bottles and cans and stuff.
Sure.
But you don't do that anymore.
Okay.
But this ghost target, I found it in a little store, and I bought a package of it. And when you shoot it, it ghosts. It puffs. It turns into a smoke. Oh. It doesn't explode or anything like that. But if you hit it on the corner, it'll just break. But if you hit it somewhere close to center, and we usually use like Air Force air rifles because it's a whole lot cheaper to shoot those than it is, like a 22 or a big rifle or something like that. And when we use the Air Force, we use like 22 or 25 caliber air rifles. And when you hit this ghost target, it goes into a powder. I mean, just
you know what? I'm looking at it right now. I went online. I went on YouTube, and I'm looking at ghost targets. I'm seeing them. I'm watching Natalie shoot under Girl's Guide to Guns. She's shooting ghost targets over there. Basically, it's reactionary targets. It's kind of like shooting Necco wafers or Alka-Seltzer or anything like that poofs and, go. It's just great to have reactor targets of all types. Bill, thank you for that. I got to keep moving here. Ghost targets, cool. Reactor targets, always good things. Robert's in Oregon on line 4. Hey, Robert, glad that you stayed with us. What's your thought here?
Yes, I enjoyed your interview with Deadly Force, Understanding Your Rights. That is most informative. My situation is here, we have gridlock in Congress all the time, okay? When our founding forefathers made up our Constitution, they had a lot of gridlock too. But one guy said so he can go from one state to another state, they made the Bill of Rights. Okay? Now, the Bill of Rights is law, okay? The federal courts can't change it. The legislation can't change it. The state, municipal, nobody can change it. It's set in law, so I can go from Maine to North Carolina, from North Carolina even to Arizona, any state that comes in the United States. And this is only for American citizens. I repeat that, American citizens only. And the Second Amendment has one part in there that people have a hard time understanding, shall not infringe upon. That means if I want to take a fully automatic 22 into the White House, okay, I can do that. Because
hey, Robert, wait, Robert, stop. Take a deep breath. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say we have the Bill of Rights, we have the Second Amendment, and that's the basis. But your therefore from it is completely 100% wrong. No, you can't do any of that stuff. We have laws against that. Having laws doesn't mean necessarily that they're in conflict with the Bill of Rights. It just means that we have a set of laws. And so let me just tell you, before you get really, really, really even more worked up, you better know what the laws are and don't say, well, I have the Second Amendment, so I can do anything I want to. No, if you do, you will either get shot and killed by law enforcement or you will go to jail for a very long time. You are, on this issue, utterly clueless, my friend.
No black helicopters here, just the facts about gun rights and gun ownership. This is Gun Talk.